Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today, and I have a review coming from a 50-movie box set from Mill Creek Entertainment. This is, what is it called? Legends of Horror, excuse me. So I am trying to still work through my backlog. Many of you know that, but I'm kind of taking a break from all the TV shows I have. I kind of wanted to delve into some movies lately, so I've been watching some horror movies. And this particular box set is one of the worst ones out of the Mill Creek, in my personal opinion. I have pretty much all the horror ones except for the Chiller set or whatever it's called. I've been jumping around a lot because this has really kind of been a hit or miss with me. I usually take Sinister Cinema Reviews here on YouTube, his advice of going to IMDb, looking at every title of this film from disc to disc, and basically just checking out what the star rating is. And even if it's lower, if the title appeals to me and then I read the synopsis and it sounds cool, then I go ahead and save it to watch on the list. But this set, from what I've looked through, most of these are like 2 out of 10 movies on IMDb. But I did come across one that mildly intrigued me, that sounded kind of neat. It's kind of like an Italian horror film. I wouldn't call it a giallo or anything, but it's kind of a ghost story, sort of, kinda. It's called The Ghost, and it came out in 1963. It's also in the set, as I said. It's about an hour and 37 minutes, and it stars Barbara Steele. I don't know a whole lot about Barbara Steele. I know that a lot of people like her in kind of the cult communities of horror and thriller and whatnot from back in the day. Apparently she's still alive. The only movie I've ever seen with her in, as far as I know, is Lost River, the Ryan Gosling directed art house movie that was so good. I'm not even a fan of art house, and I love that movie. But anyway, this is a really, it's got a great feel, like a setting and a tone and everything to it. It's a very atmospheric film, and therefore, being a 1963 film, it's a little slow, you know, and I'm not a fan of 60s movies most of the time, but it's got a great atmosphere to it. I really enjoy that about this kind of haunted house movie. But before it becomes possibly that, I don't want to tell you too much. It may be a ghost story, it may not be. It's really, first and foremost, a spouse cheating movie, and I really enjoy that part of it. Basically, there's a guy who has some kind of disease, and he and his wife are not really having the best in their relationship right now. They're really fighting a lot, specifically on his end. He's a really big scumbag, but she seems kind of careless, right? They have a doctor that keeps coming to the house, and she is starting to fall in love with that doctor behind closed doors and kind of starting to have an affair with him. And they kind of decide amongst themselves, since they're, you know, having an affair behind this sick man's back, and this doctor's doing experiments on this guy anyway and having to give him antidotes every once in a while when he goes into these seizure fits. They decide that eventually, when there's a bad enough attack, they're just not going to give him the antidote and let the sick husband die. And he does. And some weird things begin to happen around the creepy, super spooky mansion that this woman lives in, now alone, but with a housekeeper there too. The housekeeper's really weird. There's a little bit of potential possession stuff happening here, and I don't want to tell you too much. It may be real, it may not be. What I will tell you is, again, it's a super spooky movie, and I really like that about it. If I remember correctly, because it's been a couple of days since I watched this, I've watched a lot of movies the last couple of days. This Labor Day weekend's been great to me, thank God. If I remember, it has a pretty solid kind of soundscape and score to it that I liked. Not as much as the next movie I'm about to talk about, but I liked that about it. I think it's super well done in the way it's shot. It's a little goofy. It's a little goofy, especially towards the end with the reveals. Some of the things leading up to that, you won't be able to help but smirk. It's not like a bloody movie or anything like that, but it is eerie. And it's the kind of thing that, like, I was telling my wife, the big thing that sold me on these box sets, aside from my dad getting me a couple of these, this may have been one of the ones that got me. The big thing that sold me on these sets were that, despite the quality of a lot of these rips of these movies to DVD, I really hoped that the attraction of these sets, especially the Lon Chaney Jr. one I'd been watching through off and on, I think I'm pretty much done going through that one. It was the idea that these were the kind of horror movies that were edited, but regardless, I would see on TV late at night when I was a kid, and a teenager especially, when I really had the chance to be able to watch TV late and stuff. And you don't really see stuff like this at all. I mean, you see it on Tubi, you know, for streaming services, but most companies are too good to have junk like this. But it's the kind of thing that, as long as it's engaging, I like it. This movie's quality is not that great. I'm not talking about transfer to DVD. I'm talking about just in general. the movie itself is not the greatest movie you're ever going to see. It's not the best version of this kind of story about a woman cheating on her husband and causing him to die because of that. It's not the best of those things. It's just kind of fun to watch. I like the atmosphere to it, and it adds something to the movie that I thought was kind of cool. By the way, if I forgot to mention, Barbara Steele plays the wife that's cheating in this movie. I know that she's regarded as like one of the most beautiful women out there. Sometimes I think she's beautiful, and sometimes I'm like, ugh. You know? It's just how I feel sometimes with her. But she gives a solid performance in this movie, as does the doctor, as does the sick husband at times when he's in the movie, when he's not dead. There's, again, goofier moments to it. I don't know if it's going to hold up for everybody, but for me, I had a good time most of the time. The ending is a little bit too talky. The movie itself is talky, but the ending is a little bit too talky. But it is a 63 movie, so that kind of justifies that, if you will, to me. Maybe not to you, but to me it does. The writing is not strong. You don't really have super memorable moments in it, but I thought it was cool. I mean, matter of fact, like I said, a lot of it's kind of forgettable. A lot of it's kind of removing itself from my brain, and I just saw it like 2 days ago. So take that with what grain of salt you will. You may love this more, especially if you love 63 kind of haunted house movies. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was worth talking about. I also think the next movie I'm about to review is worth talking about, but we'll see that. That comes from another one of these packs, but not the same one. But yeah, I'd love to hear what you all have to say about this film. It's got some really cool stuff. There's one scene involving a coffin that I was super, super creeped out by. Not like it was like the effect of, you know, the best scares you ever get. For me, a lot of found footage movies creep me out. It's not as scary as something like that, but I did get some chills at one point involving a coffin scene. So I have to admit that. I give the film credit where credit is due. I don't know how heavy I'd recommend this to somebody. If you're kind of new to horror, or if you've never seen 60s horror films, maybe this isn't the best place to start at, you know, but it's got its moments. And if I had to rate The Ghost from 1963, because I'm sure there's a lot of ghost movies out there called The Ghost, if I had to rate it at a 5-star basis, I'd probably give it like a really solid 3 out of 5 stars, despite its goofiness, and despite it being a little too slow sometimes, but most of the time being a good-paced slow movie, as a slow burn, if you will. I thought it was cool most of the time. I thought it had a lot going for it. Again, it's probably on Tubi. I think, yeah, IMDb says it's on Tubi and Fossum, whatever that is. Never heard of that. Let me know what you think about it. I'd love to hear what you have to say down below, and thank you all for watching, guys. Do you like these 50 movies packs for Mill Creek? This one is especially a big miss, like I said, but the Lon Chaney one had a lot of good stuff in it, man, from what I saw of it. So, I don't know. You know what pisses me off the most about these before I end this review? Why do we keep including like black and white 20s and 30s and 40s thriller crime movies like noir films in these horror movie box sets? It doesn't count. It's bullshit. Anyway, 3 out of 5 stars for The Ghost, the 1963 The Ghost, because I'm sure, again, there's probably a lot of these. Let me know what you think about it down below. Thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Catch you later, and goodbye.